Between Elio and then Mike Wallace, Catherine Legg, and Casey Mears, there's all been sort of a topic around the approval process for NASCAR this year. On Parker Kligerman and Landon's podcast this week, they were talking about they feel like there's a need for a licensing system similar to the FIA, where you can actually check certain boxes to move up versus the approval process. Do you have any thoughts on the current approval process and any changes you would like to see to it?
I think there's got to be more structure around it. I think we're pretty just willy-nilly with it on, whether you've raced in the last 10 years or not, or what did you race? It might be a better question. Right? I mean, you look at, there's a balance in here somewhere of what makes sense, but when you look at F1, it's really like for anyone to get a license to race there, I don't know if any of us are qualified, nor should we be, because we've never driven anything like that, right? Like, I don't think it'd be right to throw me in an F1 race and without racing one before and giving me 20 minutes of practice. Yeah, I'm going to be in the way, right? Because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. The same thing for them, though, right? If you've never driven a stock car, should you just jump in a cup car with 20 minutes of practice and line up and race? There's a line between entertainment and safety. Not only for that particular driver, but us that race here every week. For the rest of the drivers out there in pit crews that are jumping out in front of these cars, playing in traffic, right? Like there's got to be a line in there somewhere. A little bit of structure behind it would be nice, saying that maybe you got to run the Xfinity race or a couple other different types of races. I'm sure they don't want to put too much structure behind it because every situation is a little bit different, but at the same time, I think there's got to be some marks you have to hit before you get approved into a cup race. Just my opinion, right? I don't know if it matters, but I think there's probably some areas in there that we can improve.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Following up on the approval process, the next gen car takes some elements from some other types of race cars, and you see SVG win his first race, right? So I'm curious, do you think is it more when people come from other disciplines, the oval portion, or do you think is the next gen car any more or less difficult than the previous car?
There's definitely more similarities to sports cars than there's ever been on road courses, right? So, I think to your point, what SVG has done and what he raced before is very similar to a cup car. Switching over from an Indy car to a cup car on a road course, a lot more challenging than going from a supercar or a sports car of some sort over to a cup car. The other thing I was thinking about too is like Kyle Larson running Indy 500. He has the whole month of May up there and he had to get approved for one, but then he also had a lot of laps to get comfortable with the race car, and he's a ridiculously talented kid, right? Like he's really good. So there's, like I said, everybody's a little bit different, but they had a lot of time up there to make a lot of laps to get comfortable in the race car. Like I said, 20 minutes of practice is really tough to say that's good and go jump in and go racing. Road courses may be a little bit different than ovals, especially high-speed ovals. And I would consider Phoenix a fairly high-speed oval, right? I mean, I know it's only a mile, but you're carrying some good speed around there, and there's a lot of potential to get in trouble. And we've seen two cautions last week that unfortunately ruined Soares' day, right? And not his fault, If I was him, I'd be very upset, very upset. But I mean, what do you do?